Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Neighborish livecast. Welcome. I'm Super Dave, aka Mr. Incredible, and with me, as always, are two of my favorite people. Starting with our feminine energy, the personal trainer and fitness guru, Miss Fruitfit herself, Patrice Jones.
Morning, good morning. Good
How
morning,
you
good
doing?
morning. I'm doing great, thank you.
That's good. That's good. And DC's native son, the
Hey,
SE3 representative,
hey,
the one and only Jay Son. What's up, sir?
morning, morning,
Look like you
Dave.
got to make a run for it real quick. You good? You need to.
Well, you never know, man. I got two kids in the other room. I might have to jump out every now and then.
Okay, understood. Understood. I know they're doing the distance learning thing, and that's always
Yeah,
fun. So,
yeah.
yeah, but we have a great show for y'all today because our guest today is a young lady that I met a few years back on a music video shoot for an 80s fusion alternative rock group. I think it was. But anyway, the video actually I don't think was ever released. But since then, I've watched her career flourish. She's had recurring roles on the CBS daytime show The Investigators. She appeared in season 6 of the CMT show Nashville, along with a plethora of other commercials and modeling gigs. And she also shares her musical talents in videos across her social media pages. And as if that wasn't enough, she also, I just found this out in reading her bio, that she's also a medical technologist and clinical laboratory practitioner. Because she can't just be talented and beautiful, she also has to be brilliant. That's how that works. But, ladies and gentlemen, Elizabeth Gramling is with us. How are you? Welcome to the Neighbors
Thank you
Livecast.
so much for having me. No, I'm so excited.
No problem at all, man. I'm so glad that you were able to do this. I'm excited to talk to you about your journey through all the awesome things that you do. And we're going to get into that in a moment. But first, there's a lot of things going on in the city, in the country, in the world that we need to talk about.
Oh yeah, what's going on, Dave?
And we're going to talk about it right now. So, of course, this past week was Thanksgiving. And even though I know, Jay doesn't really do the holiday thing, Um, I know
Right.
you still grub, right? You still get a plate from a couple of places.
Um. Well, yeah, just like any other Thursday, yes.
Okay. Well, I mean everyone
Yeah.
eats, but I'm saying like there's no special meals. There's nobody saves you some food or anything.
Nah. Hmm.
Not really. They know and they respect the moves. I see. I saw Patrice put up a video that had an interesting some crab mac and cheese in it, and yeah, I wanted to find out about that. I heard that you made some for us, but you went ahead and ate it because we weren't going to be together. Patrice is having some connection issues because she's
Yeah,
whipping
well,
around in her vehicle.
can you hear me? Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you. We got you. What's up with this crab mac and cheese? Why you eat it?
Oh,
Why you ain't
okay,
save us
I'm in
any?
a better area. Well, I thought we was sitting in the studio. I was gonna make y'all a little buffet spread, but
Ooh.
so I did I do like a healthy spread. My everything is made differently. So I make my sweet potatoes aren't like I don't use syrup and regular butter. And I add nuts. And then my macaroni and cheese. Instead of butter, I use avocado oil.
Oh,
And I use
nice.
almond flour to make my own cheese sauce. So it's healthier versions. And people have been asking me for the recipe, so I don't know. It might sound like a little side line.
Yeah, yeah, making crab mac and cheese. I can see it, man. You got your picture on the cover, and you just, it'll be, yeah, that'll be dope, man. So definitely. But Elizabeth, how was your Thanksgiving? Did you enjoy it? Did you have a good?
I was actually at work on Thanksgiving,
Oh,
but
don't do that
yeah,
anymore. Don't
it
do
was
that
all
anymore.
right. No, no, it was a good time. Like my
Okay,
coworkers have become my family, so it's really great. And
nice,
actually, one of our coworkers who was off brought us a Thanksgiving dinner, so that was fantastic. Her
nice.
husband's an amazing chef.
Oh wow, wow, nice. So you
Yeah,
had
so we made the best of it.
great, great, yeah. So my family wound up doing like a virtual gathering. We did Zoom for Thanksgiving. So it was, even though you missed clearly missed the intimacy of actually being physically in the same place. Other than that, it was really, comparable. It really went well. We had a good time. Everybody talked. Everybody kind of made their own food, and we sat around and ate our meals together, and then had the conversations that we have and things like that. So it really worked out pretty good. So it was an enjoyable, gathering of family, and yeah, I'm thankful for it. So, but I did want to talk a little bit about like with this new thing, like even like what we're doing now, we're usually in the studio, but we're doing the Zoom thing based on the current times and things that are going on right now. And since a lot of the shutdowns begun and have now started to be reinstated, and since the coronavirus really started to affect people's lives, there's been like a push to try to get back to quote unquote normal. And I saw a commercial over the weekend. I think it was for like a healthcare or something. But anyway, it presented an interesting point about preparing for the eventuality that there's a possibility that there won't be a back to normal, quote unquote. That this is the new normal, and that we kind of need to adjust and prepare to deal with things as they are now. And it brought to mind a quote that Jay had brought up a couple of shows ago, that Bruce Lee quote about being like water, and being, more malleable. And like he talked about how if you pour water into a cup, it becomes the cup. If you pour water into a vase, it becomes the vase. And that doesn't, in any way lend itself to weakness, because water can flow, but it can also crash. So, and that was basically the quote. And just trying to be more accepting, and also to embrace change. That's definitely a hard concept for some people to kind of wrap their minds around. Sometimes it could be even scary to some people. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how you guys have kind of embraced this new time that we're living in, and worked on like making changes in your lives. Like, what's the biggest change you made, and how have you worked to embrace it? So I'm gonna start with our guest, Elizabeth. Like, what's the biggest difference from, before to now, like with all the COVID stuff going on?
So before COVID even started, I had a couple commercials we shot in the beginning of the year, and it was fantastic. It was just like I'm normally used to being on set, but it kind of halted because COVID did take over, so productions got delayed. The first commercial I shot in the middle of COVID was in June, and it was a whole different world, mainly because like they had social distancing. There were sanitizer stations everywhere. People were wearing masks. Like everything was so separate. Like even the hair and makeup artists, they used all like these disposable products on us, and it was crazy because like I had never seen anything like that.
Wow.
But I mean, since that in June, like I've done a couple other commercials throughout the year, and you kind of just get used to it.
Right.
Like you get used to the whole protocol, the procedures that are being done, and it's like another day, because like you go in, you go do the shoot, you go in with smiling faces, full of energy, and then you walk out and you still have that same connection with everyone, even though you have masks on, even though you have to sanitize your hands and like kind of remain distant.
Right. Yeah.
It's still nice.
It's still nice. Cool. Cool.
It's still nice.
So Jay, I know you haven't really changed that much of your personal routine. But are there any things that stand out in your mind as changes that you've had to make since since everything started?
Um, well, just not performing. Well, not. I mean, because we still been doing a lot of performances. Via Zoom and live streams, and not really. Because like even with the store's been open. We can only have like I think 10 people max in the store, but yeah. So, but I don't think we really had more than 10 people in the store anyway at a time. So nothing. And other than this distance learning going on in the other room over there. But
Right.
That,
Yeah.
nah.
Yeah. So, Patrice, I know that you had to, because your personal training is such an interactive, media. It's such a it relies a lot on you being able to go to or have the people come to you. I know that you had a lot of changes with your business. Is that the biggest adjustment that you've had to make? What was the biggest adjustment?
Yes, and that, and he's walking to the car. My son.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
Hello?
can you
Hey,
see him?
You want to call?
Yeah, it's a
Hello?
Zoom call.
What's up,
hey,
Jay?
what's up,
I
man?
can't. It's two. Just say hi right there.
Oh, hello.
Hey, what's up?
Usually go pick him up from school every day, which takes me around the Beltway for about 4.5 hours.
Wow.
So not having to do that drive, and then of course not training, and then being able to pop into the gym. Even in my recovery space right now, I want to go to the gym, but I'm like,
Yeah.
not really sure about that. But all in all, and the other thing would be popping into restaurants because I used to go out to eat all the time by myself, and so now I'm cooking a lot more. I love to cook, so being creative in the kitchen, that's kind of shifted now. Like I'm able to do it because I have more time. But as far as just like the regular day to day, like I'm a homebody anyway. So I've been outside of not being able to work out, I'm pretty grateful for this time. So
Yeah.
it's a time of stillness and reflection.
Yeah, yeah. We talked about that on some of the other shows about how time is really giving a lot of people, a chance to reflect on a lot of things, do a lot of planning, do a lot of thought, and not as much movement, which is sometimes a good thing. And so, like the silver lining to the gray COVID cloud that's been lurking over us. Before we go any further, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the fact that yesterday was Chadwick Boseman's. It would have been his 44th birthday, and just acknowledge the immense skill and talent that was lost recently. If you haven't seen the few projects that were released, after his passing, the Five Bloods and 21 Bridges, which is both awesome. I got a chance to see both of them, and they're really good. And his last project, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, premieres on Netflix on December 10th. And I'll definitely be checking that out, and I suggest that you guys do too. Just prayers for his family and rest in power to King to King T'Challa. Yeah. So a couple of things happened over the weekend. Jay and I were talking before the show about the Mike Tyson Roy Jones fight, which was an interesting uh, situation. I know Jay saw it. Did either of you see it, ladies?
I saw the last part of it. That's
No, okay.
all over social media.
Right. Patrice, did you get a chance to see any of it?
And no, I didn't watch the fight. I just waited because I couldn't get it on TV. I just waited for social media. So I woke up at like 1 in the morning and I was scrolling and it was just everything was just so hilarious.
Yeah,
And
yeah. We were talking
but
about
I
how.
was glad to see.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Patrice.
No, I was just gonna say I was glad to see their level of kind of sportsmanship at the end that they showed. I posted a clip. Roy Jones was hilarious.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he and Mike Tyson kind of dapped it up, So whether they were fighting to win or fighting to draw, or whatever, I think it was just that show of sportsmanship that did it for me. That was cool.
Yeah, yeah. We were talking about how Snoop Dogg kind of stole the show, with his commentating, and Jay said he performed too. I didn't see that part because, like you said, I saw the clips that were on social media and stuff afterwards, and I wound up catching the whole fight on YouTube. That one and the undercard of Nate Robinson and the guy Jake Paul, and how that's been like the meme of the new thing of November. He got Would you say, Jay?
I just said, man.
Yeah, it was bad. And Snoop singing "Precious Lord" when he got knocked out and all that. But we were
Yeah,
talking about
I watched that clip like 30 times. Huh?
yeah, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. We were talking about Snoop Dogg, and I just really like how he's so personable and able to kind of fit into any role. I think that kind of plays back into that, that Bruce Lee quote, that be like water. Like I was saying, how when he was commentating, even though he made a lot of jokes, when he was talking about the fight, he really seemed like a commentator. And he does that in a lot of things. Like when he's on the show with Martha Stewart, he really looks like he's been hosting, for a long time. He's very poised and everything. And then, just like I said, really personable and, keeping the jokes coming and stuff. To sit in there with these guys who didn't know him and get them to a level of comfort, with the jokes and things. So I've just, always been a big fan of Snoop from back in the day. But yeah, it's just really dope to see somebody because, the longevity that he has lends itself to that type of personality. You don't really see too many people make it that far without that kind of, just personable personality. So yeah, it was really good. I feel like Mike Tyson won. I was telling Jay. They said it was a draw, but Mike is he's a monster. He's like a pit bull. But even Roy was saying those hits was hurting, and he had to kind of adjust his style a little bit to deal with it. Jay, did you say you thought it was a draw?
Well, I mean, if it was a real fight, I think Tyson would have won. But I think Roy had to box because he's fighting Mike Tyson. So it's like you can't go in there and brawl with Mike Tyson. So I think he was doing a good job as far as throwing his jabs and wrapping Mike up when they got in the clutch. And people don't understand that, because you just want to see a fight. But when you study like the science of boxing, he actually did an excellent job as far as boxing. And so a lot of, I guess, people who don't follow the sport would just look clearly like Mike Tyson won. But I think from a boxing standpoint, like the technicalities of how Roy Jones approached it was very well done. And he was a smart fighter. He still got dinged up though, because it's Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I was like, that's why I could live with a draw, because Roy Jones was boxing. Because you have to box Mike Tyson. You can't just go in the ring like, yeah, I'm gonna fight you. We gonna nah, you don't want to do that, bro. So I think he was wise in his approach and jabbing, sticking and moving. And I think he did a good job. So I think draw is fair.
Right. Yeah. Any comments on your boy Nate Robinson?
Man, it doesn't seem like he trained at all.
Right.
Because he didn't really have any technique at all. He was just lunging himself, and he got his ass knocked out.
And that's like a terrible idea. If you ever boxing, I don't know if any of you ever want to take up boxing, but if you ever do, don't do what Nate did. Don't just run at your opponent, because it puts you in a position to end up how he did, a meme now forever for the rest of his life. Right.
Take my hand.
Gotta say, like, I watched that clip like everybody else so many times, and the first 5 or 6 times, like, I was crying, especially when they started doing the challenge. But then, the little, I guess, the feminine energy kicked in, and I was like, damn, I hope you don't have no brain injury. And I'm like, God, he hit that mat with his head.
Yeah.
Like, that was all
He was asleep. He didn't just sleep.
Yeah.
Even when they had even when Tyson and Roy Jones was in the ring, you could see him in the background still on the ground.
Well, that was a picture that they did. That wasn't a real.
Yeah, that wasn't real.
They moved him out of the way.
No, remember I told you I didn't see the fight. I only saw the after. So somebody made that.
Yeah, they didn't leave him down.
Fight with a nigga laying on the ground.
They
Oh, that was it. I was like, well, maybe they left him over there.
No, they would.
I think the funniest one was the Fridays. Was that Friday? No, Boys in the Hood, when they was like, did you want to see a dead body? That took the cake.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of memes. It's the internet is undefeated with the memes. But but moving on, I wanted to.
Y'all ain't feel bad for him?
You said what?
Y'all ain't feel bad for him?
For Nate, yeah. Anybody that gets like Jay and I were talking before the show about like what he's gonna do now, to kind of get, because I mean, of course, after a while it'll die down and he'll be able to, live with it. But I likened it to, I don't know if you've ever seen this, the old Martin Lawrence stand up where he talked about like a boxer, having a lot of hype around him and then getting knocked out. And then the joke was like having to be the guy that's riding home with him or driving him home after he got knocked out. And like that conversation is awkward because it's like, did he hit you as hard as it looked like he hit you and stuff like that? And well, where did your teeth go? I don't know where they, stuff like that. So it's going to be tough for a little while for Nate, especially in this day and age where the social media and the internet is going to take it a lot further than it probably needs to go. But yeah,
But
like
you know, he was also talking that bullshit. He was like, "Yeah, I'm doing this for all the NBA players and the athletes around the world, and especially my children." Like,
oh, you shouldn't.
oh
Yeah,
yeah.
you got to be careful what you say.
Sometimes you just gotta fight for yourself, brother.
Yeah, don't, you know. but but yeah, moving on, I want to talk a little bit about another big story that's been floating around social media. Kevin Hart dropped a released a comedy special on Netflix called Zero F's Given. I'm being censored today, but it's got like really bad reviews, unusually bad reviews for Kevin Hart specials, because even though a lot of people have said his punch, like his value has waned in his comedy specials over the years. Like this one, a lot of people are just saying it's not that good. Have any of you seen it? Don't
I
all
had
speak at
seen
once
it.
now. No.
I had actually seen it the other day, and I'm not one to watch stand up. I'm never one to do that. But like, I laughed. I thought it was pretty good, but it might be just because I'm not used to like viewing all these stand up comedians and seeing that. But I thought it was pretty funny. I know
Oh,
there was
okay.
some controversy that was behind it with his daughter and the clip that he added there. But I
Mhm.
mean, above all, I laughed.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I know.
I saw one clip of it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead, Patrice.
So I saw one clip of it last night, but it was just a random clip. The one where he's asking the girl. It was a TikTok. He's asking the young lady saying she's getting ready to head out to go out with her girlfriends, and he's like, all right, and then he says he's about to go out, and she's like, well, who you going with, and what you gonna eat, and where you gonna eat at, and all that. He said. I'll say WTF. He's like, that's a WTF. What is this? Exam? Am I being graded on this? That was funny. That's literally the only part I saw of it, but I do want to see it.
Yeah, yeah, and I was telling Jay, because we both kind of done the stand up thing a little bit, and it looked like it was just like a casualty of this new time that we're in. Because typically comedians will go out and work their material to a point where it's at a point where you're kind of sure where the laughs are going to come and things of that nature. And there's a lot to be said for that process of going out and working the material. And it just looked like even with his timing and things like that, it was off. That's in a way that's indicative of not doing that, of not having that process. And so I think that's kind of what threw it off, in my opinion. And like I was telling Jay, I heard people say, "Well, you had to wait to the end because that's when it got funny. You had to just stick to it to the end." That's kind of not how comedy works, you know. But but I mean, it definitely wasn't his best. Like I didn't really laugh that much at it. I didn't really, get too many laughs. But he's a funny guy. Like a big fan of like a lot of his work and his work ethic and his joke telling, his structure and things like that is always on point. So just watching it from a technical standpoint and not seeing as much of that, that's kind of like I was like, oh, okay, he didn't work this stuff out. He just told the jokes to his friends and they laughed and he was like, I'm gonna put that in the special. So but yeah, Jay, what was your take on? I know you said you saw about 30 minutes of it, right?
I only saw about 30 minutes of it. And I didn't laugh, but I was engaged. You know what I'm saying? So he wasn't like, and I'm a fan of Kevin Hart. So this ain't hate, you know what I'm saying? But he kept me engaged. Like it was in, like I said, I haven't seen it. I think I saw 30 minutes of it before I had to like go do something. But I typically would be laughing with, by 30 minutes into a Kevin Hart stand-up comedy special. But, I guess the interesting thing is he's also an excellent storyteller. And so just like how we were saying, like how Dave Chappelle's last couple of things aren't really comedy joints. It's just him speaking to the world about how he feels about things and him just being a funny person, made it funny, but not with the intent of like, oh, I'm gonna go out here and make these niggas laugh, ha ha ha. But I think with Kevin Hart, I think a lot of what you're saying is true. Not being able to work your material in the clubs is a technique that's not as appreciated until you see this type of specials. Like, oh, if he would have worked that joint in the club, at least once or twice, I think it would have come off a little bit more funny.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I still was engaged. I didn't want to like cut it off, and I wasn't like, "Oh, this sucks." It's just I wasn't like laughing, but I was with him. I was following the stories, and you know he was doing a good job. It just wasn't the typical cracking me up Kevin Hart stand up for me. And again, I only saw like 30 minutes of it, so I can't really give a full assessment of it.
Right, right. And so you plan to go back and watch the rest?
Yeah, I'm definitely watch because, like I said, I'm a Kevin Hart fan, man. I like his approach. I like, you know, I like how he tells stories, and there probably is some degree of like what the people were saying is like you gotta wait till the end, and that typically isn't how comedy works. But again, in the essence of being like water, Dave, I guess he has to adjust just like everybody else has to adjust,
Right.
and you know, staying relevant in this new time of COVID and social distancing and things like that. But I don't think it sucked. Like a lot of, he's getting a lot of bad reviews about
A
it.
lot of flack, yeah.
Yeah,
And I was
so
gonna say if I could.
Sure,
Go
yeah,
ahead,
go
Jay.
ahead.
I'm sorry. Jay, you done?
hmm
Oh, sorry. So I was gonna say that and coming out of in reference to what you said about COVID and stuff, and coming out of this, like I don't think you just come out the gate and your hype for telling jokes and being funny is right there. Like he probably had to warm up to that, because your spirit, everybody's spirit is affected in this, whether you believe it's a virus or you don't, or you've been in your house alone or with your family. Like the way that you move has been affected. So I'm pretty sure that he had to warm up to kind of get into that place.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of what that process of working the material does. Like when you going through the doing different clubs and things like that, which you didn't have an opportunity to do. That's exactly what that process is for, is working out the kinks. And a lot of jokes and how they work is about timing. And so working out the timing and having precise timing and getting an understanding of what's funny and what's not funny, what'll be perceived as funny and not funny, is so important to the whole process. So I'm pretty sure that's what it was, is that he didn't have a chance to do that. And so yeah, we'll give you another shot, Kev. Try again, and we'll watch it. No, but
you didn't see the whole thing either, did you, Dave?
no, I didn't. I didn't. I stopped it about maybe a little further than 30 minutes through, and I will watch it. But like I said, like that's not how comedy really works. It's not like a movie where it's a twist at the end that brings it all together.
Right.
If you're not telling jokes in the beginning that's funny, it's not gonna. I mean, and there may be some funny stuff toward the end, and I will, like you
Come on,
said, I'll give
Dave.
him.
We gave you a pass on your jokes.
Oh, oh. That's how you. Oh, really? I got laughs. It was people in there
Yeah, I get
laughing, and it wasn't a laugh track. But
it.
Jason said I was funny, so I think I was funny.
You
Uh,
did good, Dave.
Thanks, I appreciate you. But but yeah, Jay, you mentioned Dave Chappelle, and he released a piece entitled "Unforgiven" on Instagram, which wasn't like Jay said, it wasn't really comedy. It was more of a just social commentary on some of the stuff that he's going through dealing with contracts, and it stems from something that he alluded to when he hosted Saturday Night Live, talking about how his show, the Chappelle Show, is streaming on a couple of sites, Netflix and HBO and CBS, and he's not getting paid for it at all, and that's because it's actually owned by Viacom, who owns Comedy Central, and so he basically was just talking about just how wrong that is in its essence, the whole contract thing, and how they're set up to basically, make a lot of money for the companies and leave the actual artists with a little, and it's a wild situation. Just having a little bit of understanding. I was telling Jay when I started doing music, I had got to a point where I thought I was gonna, people were talking contracts and stuff, and so I immediately went and got a book called The Art of Negotiating a Record Contract. And just some of the things that I actually found out, like kind of having a little bit of knowledge about how contracts work and how they're set up to, in the interest of the company making a lot of money. and not necessarily the artist, not really caring how the artist, survives after that. But to actually see from a lawyer who did contract law, who wrote the book, and just get an understanding of the links that they go to be conniving and things like the stuff that Dave was talking about was absolutely right. Things like they, make you sign away your right to use your name, to use your likeness, and they say things like in perpetuity throughout the universe. So there's no chance that you'll ever be able to get your name or your likeness back in that place. Like he was saying, he could never, there's not a chance that he could really get any paid at all for any of the work that he did on Chappelle's show because of that clause and that contract that he signed. And he talked about being a young artist at the time, and he was hungry, and he had a kid on the way, and things that add to, but the things that these companies take into consideration offering these contracts because they know there's not really a chance of you turning down something that at the time seems like a lot of money and a way out. So it was real interesting. Did you guys did any of you see it?
No,
So
I didn't.
Okay, Jay's the only one that did his homework. All right, so no, what'd you think of it, Jay?
I thought it was good. I think Dave's a genius. I think, uh, well, I guess the gangster shit is that he got Netflix to stop streaming it
Yeah,
because of
yeah,
his request, just personally. He didn't go through no legal contract. He just called them and asked them, and they obliged. And
yeah,
that's a powerful chess move in itself. That's gonna make these companies take notice that people have power, um, because that's big. If you call Netflix and be like, "Yo, can y'all please stop streaming my show? It makes me feel sad," and they was like, "Damn, it makes you feel sad, Dave. We'll stop it. No
yeah. That's weird.
contract, no
Yeah,
nothing." And that's a lot of power, man. And so, you know, and they, like we was talking about earlier, like he signed a contract, so legally they don't have to do nothing. It's like, yo, your signature is on it, so we can use your image and your likeness in perpetuity throughout the universe,
right.
and it has your signature right here. And he was like, basically, I made a mistake, and can you please? It's making me feel bad. And they was like, okay, we ain't gonna stream it. And so that's a chess move right there, because that's changing the game,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's like brand new, because the to me, my subjective definition of revolution is some new shit. And what he did was some new shit. Like, there's nothing to study, there's nothing to research. Like, yo, this Bama just called Netflix and was like, yo, I signed a terrible contract, but it's making me feel sad. And
yeah.
they stopped streaming that nigga shit. And it's
Well,
like,
I think it
wow.
has I think it has to do a lot with we talked about leverage and like when new artists
Mhm.
come in, or new artists, new actors, new anything, when you come in to dealing with a larger company, if you have a certain amount of leverage, and that's one of the things that I have seen over the years happen in practice and also have read about. Just like, so for instance, if you have a fan base when you come in, then you have a little bit of leverage because you're able to say, like, if they try to make any changes to your image or your art, you have the leverage to be able to say, well, this many people like me like this, and this is why I'm here. So can I keep this element? And it's still like kind of asking, because at the end of the day, they kind of hold a lot of the chips. But the fact, I think Dave had a lot of leverage. He's doing, deals with them. He has deals with them,
Man,
and
he
they
done
know
made
how much.
Netflix so much money.
Yeah, yeah, and they know how much they still stand to make off of him. So I think that
Hmm.
played a huge part of it. And he also talked about the HBO, that whole situation with them, how he went to them before he went to Comedy Central, and instead of just saying yes or no to his project, as they're kicking him out of the office, the exec that he spoke to said, "What do we need you for?" And so for it to come full circle, and now they're streaming his show, he said that's his question to them now, like, what do you need me for? Like, and so that's why he's kind of coming at HBO, like, don't watch it on HBO. And so it was an interesting, like I said, piece of social commentary. He's a genius storyteller, and so the entertainment value is there, Jay. I think, like you said about the Kevin Hart special. It wasn't as funny. Dave is just a funny guy, so there was some laughs in there, but it was more just like him talking about, how he felt about the situation, and his plea to, like, help him out. Don't watch it, So it was pretty good. I suggest it to anybody who is a fan of Dave Chappelle. Um, so I wanted to talk a little bit before we get into this interview. I saw a story. The last thing that I saw last night was a story about how Drake has become one of the latest in a long line of artists who have spoken out against the artists in the Grammys, the artists of color being snubbed by the Grammys, citing that people like The Weeknd and Lil Uzi Vert, who had two of the biggest albums of the year, and neither one of them, had any nominations this year. Now, the Grammys has started a group of black artists. I forgot what they call it. Like, it's like a crew of people who, trying to work to, add more diversity to the nominees and to just the Grammys as a whole. And I know, like, John Legend is one of the people that's on that group, and a couple of other people. And they said they worked in some of the strides that they made. Like, he put out a statement talking about how there are a number of black women who are nominated this year for the Grammys. But it's just interesting to me. Like, this argument has been going on for a while. And it's nothing new. Like, they had what was it, the Emmy So White or something like that last year or a couple of years ago, and people were boycotting and things like that. And I was reading about how a number of artists have refused to submit their work to the Grammy Association. People like Frank Ocean and Tyler the Creator and people like that, who talked about how even like the terms urban music is like they actually changed that term because of those people. Just because it seems like Tyler the Creator said, when I hear urban music now, it sounds like it feels to me like you're calling me the N word. Like, it's so associated with black music. And he's like, why can't we just be pop? We're popular music. We're one of the most popular genres. And I mean, I think he has a valid point with that. Um, but yeah, it's just an interesting story, and it's like I said, it's something that's been going on for so long. And my thinking on it is, it's kind of like, why are we still looking for accolades from this group that hasn't really shown us any for years? It's like we put work into starting our own things, like the BET Awards, the Soul Train Awards, things like that kind of give us a place to shine and show reverence to people who've made leaps and strides in different genres. So the Grammys, just, it isn't ours. I say let them have it. It'll be all right. But I mean, how do you guys feel, Elizabeth? How do you think it's been that black people are underrepresented?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel that in a personal stride, like with my endeavors. And I just feel like that kind of holds a burden over my head, because like you have to like fit an image whenever you're like working in the film industry or working in the music industry. Like, they want a cookie cutter mold, and it's
Right.
so hard to try to like fit into that, mainly because like there's so many people that like thrive outside of it. And it's
Right.
almost like it's just so borderline accepted. Like, it's like, oh, we'll only take it this far. We're willing to push these boundaries a little bit, but not too much, not too
Right.
much.
Right.
So I feel like there's a lot of evolving that has to happen in these industries, because it's not exactly what it could be. It could be so much more.
Right. Definitely. Definitely. And Patrice, do you have any opinions on, like, the Grammys, or like that debate about us trying to be accepted in this in these industries, or amongst these groups like the Grammy Association or the Academy and things of that nature, or who haven't really given us, or it seems like almost had to be forced to kind of make changes and have us be more accepted.
I'm gonna go take it back to segregation was not desegregation was not a good thing. Um, that segregation was not a good thing. So I think we, we're asking to be accepted, but it's okay if we have our own. Like, I think we're forgetting that, first of all, to Elizabeth's point, there's a box that everyone's being put in, especially black people, to when you talk about urban music, when you talk about certain types of music, as soon as you hear it, you think certain things because we're so, stereotypical because of oppression, etc. So when you try to put everybody into a mold of what, you know, media tries to carve it out to be, it doesn't match up to us. Like we don't, it's like we don't fit. So why would we go to an entire population of people and beg them for a seat at a table? Why are we not creating our own tables? Why are we still asking for that? And I can speak to that personally from a training perspective and having my own business. I could easily go into another neighborhood and charge a different price and get way more money in a more, affluent area. And I'm not relating that to, you know, color, but more so demographic. But sometimes, with gentrification, it happens that way. But I choose to stay within, the areas that serve, black people or people that, may not be able to pay higher prices. So that's a choice that I make. But, and shout out to what were the artists you said that they said that they pulled it, they stopped submitting music to the Grammys.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
people need to start making power moves like that to say, oh, okay, well you're not accepting this, the people around me, then I'm not going to push for it either. I'm going to take the hit, and it's not about fame for me, but it's about supporting a collective and supporting a community in our efforts.
right. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Jay, I see you've returned.
Oh, yeah, sorry, man.
No, no, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah. So, did you have an opinion about the whole Grammy situation, or like we were just talking about, I think Patrice put it well. Trying to get a seat at a table that hasn't really set a place for us. Yeah, I like that
Yeah,
analogy. That's a good analogy. Anyway, go ahead.
I mean, it's quite stupid, but I understand it. It's cognitive dissonance. We seek approval because that's all we've seen. Like when people associate top-notch music, you think about the Grammys, right? But that's not our fault. That's what's been indoctrinated into us since we were child. I'm sure we was all of us probably little kids watching the Grammys on TV.
Yeah.
And so it's just not out of the blue. Like, why do black people keep, seeking approval from? But it's the same thing with everything else. So it's not right, and we do need to remove ourselves. But you can say the same thing about the NFL or any other, or the country itself. It thrives off blackness, and a lot of people don't feel validated unless we get the approval of white people. And it's quite insane. But I guess the point that I'm attempting to make is that we have to understand the work that is put into to have our minds operate this way. And so shout out to those brothers who you said, like Tyler and Frank Ocean,
Yeah.
to kind of, to recognize, like, yo, I'm just not going to submit. But it's like the contradiction, the irony is like the best hip hop album category this year.
Yeah.
It's like it's God MCs for the first time ever.
Yeah. People like Nas and Busta and who else?
Nah, it's Nas, Royce the 5'9", Jay Electronica, Freddie Gibbs, and you know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, these bandits can actually rap.
Yeah.
It's not drug music. It's not I get bitches music. It's not look at my money music. Like, these are actual legitimate bar spitters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, fuck the Grammys. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like that's how they work us though. It's like they'll take the time to be like, all right, we're going to put some real music in this category. But at the end of the day, man, it's not ours. But I'm just saying all that to highlight how we could be in this place of still, like knowing for a fact, like this is not for us. Like this is a institution created by racists. Always has been, probably always will be. But for some strange reason, we don't know why we seek the validation of this institution. And and this year's best hip hop album is a indication of our confusion. Cause it's like, yo, I want Nas to win a Grammy so bad, but I don't even fuck with the Grammys. So even I'm conflicted. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, the Grammys could burn to the ground, and I wouldn't get no fucks at all. You know what I'm saying? But in the same breath, I want Nas to win a Grammy. I don't know why.
We have a certain amount of before you say it, Patrice. We have a certain amount of F-bombs. I think he used them up. So no, I'm just playing. Go ahead, Patrice.
So I was gonna say to Jay's point, like we talked about that at some point, how everything is emotionally linked. It's connected, and it thrives off emotions. So if you look at those who are nominated for this year, like those albums that you mentioned, like I love the Jay Electronica album. Like those albums speak to the movement that's going on right now.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that's a coincidence. I think it feeds the emotions of the country as us as those who are part of the collective that move like it's
You're breaking up, Patrice. And it's always when she's saying some deep stuff.
We can't hear nothing you talking about.
Yeah. I thought she started singing for a second. I was like, oh, this is a performance. No.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. You still breaking up a little bit though.
Damn, it was good too.
Right. I figured. That's the man trying to hold us down. They trying to stop us. No, but yeah, man, I do want to get into this interview. What'd you say, Patrice?
I just, can you hear me now? I'm gonna say it real fast.
Okay, you breaking up, but let's try to see what you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm just trying to say this real fast. I was just gonna say it speaks to those particular artists being nominated in that category, particularly at this time, speaks to what we talked about a few shows ago about how emotions are running high and everything is connected. And so, as a collective, most Black people are with this, Black Lives Matter movement, and like in particular, I love Jay Electronica's album. Like a lot of those albums speak to, the vibe that's going on right now, and so I think it's all connected. And I know that's kind of left, but it's just, I just think it's all connected, and it's, that's it. That's all I want to say.
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I feel like that, like you said, the emotional pull of the whole thing is it's interesting how, like you said, the albums that are nominated all kind of speak to that. Nas, Jay Electronica, who else? Freddie Gibbs. That all of them have a certain element of social justice. Yeah, Royce.
Crazy.
Yeah. So
it's one more too. It's another crazy joint that's dope.
And I love that album.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Man, Royce the 5'9" is awesome.
Yeah, his albums. That's what I'm saying. Yo, I ain't never seen the Grammys do a best hip hop album category like this without no drug, woman,
misogynistic
music.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, I ain't never seen this out the Grammys for best rap, best hip hop album.
Yeah. So
I don't think it's a coincidence.
So Jay, you don't support him, but you're gonna watch it anyway to see if Nas get the
I'm
get
still
the statue.
not gonna watch it. It's just, and what's funny, babe? I don't even like Nas, but I respect him as an MC because he don't do the dumb music, and I just respect any Black man on the planet who ain't trying to capitalize on portraying that image, and what he has done. He's maintained, because I've interviewed Nas, and so I'm not even like a Nas fan, like I respect his consistency in being who he is. Because when I interviewed Nas, man, I was like, oh, he really is this person that I hear in these songs.
Mm.
He's not portraying no character of a person, like where it's like a like a Rick Ross.
Yeah.
It's like it's no way you could be like a real person. There's no
Yeah.
way you could sell 75 keys of cocaine
And
and
not be
then
in
make a
prison.
song about it. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
no way. Then you know the real Noriega. Oh nigga, you know the real Noriega. And so not to knock him, I'm just saying, like, but it's like fantasy rap. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm gonna have sex with 72 women, but I ain't got no STDs. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so it's like Nas has always been true to who he is.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
not even a fan of his, but I was like, yo, if anybody deserves a hip hop Grammy, I was like, well, at least Nas has been true to himself.
Right. Right.
You know, so that's really the only. So I'm still not gonna watch the Grammys or support the Grammys, but you know, I don't. Do we don't have like a because even our awards are quite coonish, you know. And so I guess the Grammys is like the high level of musicianship and you know industry standard for music, but you know at the end of the day we need to dig deep within ourselves and understand the contradictions that arise when we put our heart, faith, and emotions into these institutions that are founded in racism.
And there you go. So I think that's a good way to put a little bow on that one there. And but yeah, I appreciate that. So I definitely want to get into this interview um, while we have some time left. No, but so I want to talk to Liz here. Thank you so much again for joining us and sharing in our conversation here and yeah, being a part of this. So I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to start by taking it back a little bit to when you were a little kid. Do you remember when people used to ask you what you wanted to do for a living? Do you remember what you would say?
Yes, I would give them so many different answers. It wasn't even funny. One week it'd be a doctor, and next week it'd be a lawyer. Interior decorating came in there. Wedding dress designer. We were all over the place.
Oh, okay. Okay, and so yeah, you had a bunch of them. So was any of them acting or modeling or singing or?
It's so funny because in sixth grade, I made a huge bucket list of things that I wanted to accomplish in my life.
Mm,
And like, it wasn't going to be like something that I'd do next month. It would have to be like years down the road. And a lot of them like did have to do with like being on TV shows or walking down the red carpet or like, you know, really just experiencing the whole film industry.
okay.
So it's been embedded in my like system, but I didn't really get to truly embrace it until like these past few years.
Okay. Okay. And did you ever in any of those times that you said did you ever say you wanted to be a medical technician at all? Did that ever come up? I'm just messing with you.
I did have to say it didn't until like I graduated college.
Right. Right. So but between acting, modeling, singing, all of the things that you do, I would say which do you enjoy the most? Do you have one that you enjoy the most, or is it all the same?
Okay, so I'm gonna go in the order of music, acting, modeling,
Okay.
because I don't really like modeling at all.
Really? Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, I really don't. I don't. I've been to too many of those auditions for modeling. I've traveled like 4 to 6 hours just to be looked at for 30 seconds. Like, all right, now we're gonna go on the next one. It's
Oh,
there's a lot there's to it.
right.
I really love my music, but that's kind of my own type of meditation. Like that's what grounds me, and that's where I feel good, and that's where I always like go to.
Mm,
But with acting, that just the whole scenario always feels right every time I step foot on set.
mm. That's dope.
every single
That's
time.
that's dope.
Hmm.
I think that's something that people who thrive in the business have in common, and I feel like I've felt that way too. Like anything I pursued with acting, it kind of worked out.
Hmm.
I haven't had too many situations where I either got a no or anything like that, and so that's what kept me, propelled
Right.
and driven to keep moving
And that's
forward.
just the industry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
I
I always like to think that it's half the industry is being rejected. If you learn to be
right.
rejected, then you can learn to thrive.
Exactly, exactly. That's definitely right. So, I I haven't done anything lately, mainly based on like COVID. And I know you spoke a little bit about how it affects it, but it hasn't. From what you've been saying, it hasn't really slowed down the work, though, right?
No, I don't think it does. I think the majority of the work that's been delayed is just precautionary because
Right.
people know travel's involved. You're going to have to interact with multiple different people just to like slow down.
Hmm.
But for the most part, just being on set with COVID, you do takes with masks. You do takes without masks. They want to incorporate that for like future commercials because we're gonna have to get used to this way of life because
Right.
that's what's happening currently. We don't see a time yet where we're without them.
Right.
So it's adapting and evolving.
Right. Right. And so you said between the three, so acting is the one that you kind of, well, the music is what grounds you, but acting is your
Music is
thing.
mine, yeah.
So yeah, so if
But acting is where it's at.
great, great. So if I were to ask you what you do, like what's your claim to fame, you would say acting,
Acting, for sure,
definitely.
without a doubt, no hesitation.
And and so you say you don't like modeling. Would you say that's the most challenging?
Modeling, it's not my forte. It's
Okay.
not. There's too much involved in it that I feel like I can't really do to just incorporate myself. It's you make the appearance and then you leave.
Right.
Acting, you can really delve deep. You can actually be yourself and like find all these like emotions that you didn't know you had hidden in you to just
Mm-hmm.
like expel. That's
Right.
my true art form.
Dope, dope. And so yeah, so sticking with that a little bit, what kind of a process do you go through to prepare for like your roles? Is there anything specific that you do when you get a new role and you're reading it and preparing to perform?
Yeah, after like reading the scripts a couple of times, like there's something in me. It's the strangest thing of how I can just like remove myself from the situation and just become that person. I can't really describe it. It's
Hmm.
really a strange process. But like all the emotions that like the intensity that's written on paper, somehow like I can relate that to like, my life and then events that have occurred that like where I felt like that intensity and just bring it to life. And like it gets perfected over time. Sometimes I
Right.
don't nail it quite as easily as, I say that I can, but like
Hmm.
it comes. It comes and goes.
Definitely, definitely. So, who is your biggest inspiration, like acting wise? Like, who do you look up to? Who inspires you?
Kerry Washington. I absolutely adore her. And and see, my friends have always pushed like Scandal on me back in high school, and that's just a series that I can always go back to. I know what's happening, and I can stop at one of her monologues and just like feel it.
Mm,
I just want to be exactly like that. I want someone to feel that emotion, feel that intensity, be in that moment with me whenever I'm on screen, and I can do that all the time with her, whatever role she plays. It's incredible. She is absolutely brilliant.
yeah, yeah, that is, and that's an amazing, feeling. It's wonderful when actors do it well and do it right. It's great, and it's good
Absolutely.
to be able to portray that. I've seen Jay Sun do that a few times. Where he's done monologues
Yeah.
and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I feel that. But so like I said in the intro, you had a recurring role on the CBS show The Investigators. So how did that come about?
Okay, so this was before I had an agent. This
Oh, okay.
this was me trying so hard, just like pushing myself to get into the industry to begin with. And honestly, this was probably the best TV show set that I've like set foot on, mainly
Mm,
because like it was so small and so intimate.
mm,
Because they would book me maybe like 3 days in a row. I'd come back a couple months later. I'd be there for 2 more days. Same cast, same crew. Like everyone just loved each other. That was their family, and
that's
that's
dope.
one thing that tied me into it because like you really do, like, from all the time you spend with them, you become that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, it's just nice to see them on a regular basis. That's one thing that I really miss, just being on like commercial sets. You see these people for 2 days max, and then you leave, and then you say, well, I hope to work with you again sometime
Right.
soon. Like, I hope you're in this area. It's just hard. I get very attached to my set, like my crew and my like set people.
Right, right. And so you said that was before you had an agent. I know a lot of people, like
Mm-hmm.
myself, I don't have an agent. Like I try to do it myself. But how helpful has getting an agent been for your career?
It's incredible. It takes so much time away from me because I don't have to hunt for all these things. I don't have to go through websites looking for castings because like I'll have my agent like email me like, "Oh, well, you have an audition this day. I need it by this time." And this happens like on a weekly basis.
Mm.
Like, and I love it. Like even today I have an audition that I have to send through like just from a at-home recording because COVID
Right,
can't really
right, yeah.
audition in person anymore. That's one thing I had to get used to.
Right,
But
right.
it's incredible. Like it really does take the stress and strain off of you.
That's good. That's yeah, yeah. So we're looking to getting an agent. So so
Yes.
one of the things that most of the artistic professions have in common is the downtime. Like especially when you're on a set or you're in the studio recording and things of that nature,
Hmm.
there's a lot of time that you're just not doing anything. And so when I would record music, I would have what I would call a studio survival kit. And so it was always like
Ooh.
some kind of like candy to keep me, awake because you have those moments, the time after a certain time you start to break down. I'd have something. Back
Right.
then, I'm gonna date myself, but back then I'd have something to read. Now I'd have my phone, but back then I'd keep something to read, and so it's just something to keep me interested. Is there anything like when you're on a set all day or you're working on stuff all day that you have to have with you, like a survival kit, like something you keep with you all the
Yes.
time?
So I did do the book thing for a while. I had read The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho like a million times.
Mm.
Brilliant book if you guys haven't read it.
I love that
But
show.
that amazing, absolutely amazing. I get something new from it every time I read it. But that was my go-to book. But right now, like every time I have to be on set, 2 Red Bulls. Have one right before I get there. I'll have one in the fridge for like about like 4 hours on set. And then of course the phones. But I've really kind of learned to embrace getting to know people on set, learning their journey throughout the industry, how they got to where they are, because you really learn a lot from people. Like if you just like put down the phone, just sit down, get to know them.
Right.
And they always have great recommendations. They tell you what to get involved in, what not to get involved in. Like they'll tell you like their horror stories or like
Right.
moments where they've like absolutely had like a thriving time, like things like that. It's just I just really connect with people that way. So I've kind of decided to put the books away and just ask questions.
We'll just talk.
Liz.
Cool.
Yes,
Where you from?
I'm from Beckley, West Virginia.
Who?
Beckley, West Virginia. I'm in southern West Virginia.
Beckley?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you
What?
act
Yeah.
then, like as a kid? Like that was your thing?
I did do a little bit. I didn't take it as seriously as I could have, but I was always in like theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you go to like college?
Hmm. Yep.
So-
I just graduated this past May
From where?
from West Virginia University of Institute of Technology. So it's
Ah.
a sister school of WVU.
Okay.
Yes.
You a theater major?
No, I'm actually a biology major.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
And I
whole.
wish I would have gone to theater school.
Okay.
Yeah, I was.
That's all I
Yeah,
got. Dave.
Okay.
I was gonna say I know.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about because I'm kind of the same way with just talking to people, but just because I'm naturally personable, and usually if I'm on a set or something, I'm nervous. So that's the kind of the way to calm my nerves. I talk to people. So I've heard the debate between people talking about honing your skills, like taking acting classes or actually going to school for it. And actually, one of my favorite actors, a young lady who I've worked with, Devin Thomas, she's a big proponent of studying your craft and going to school and following the that whole path. She even went to London. She did the school that Chadwick Boseman did. That the story about how Denzel Washington paid for his way to do that. She did that and stuff. But there are people who say if you are naturally talented, there's things that you can pick up and you don't need it. And then some people, really harp on the importance of having that technical background. How do you feel about it?
Well, I never considered acting classes until this year, actually,
Mm.
because of all the auditions that I've done. Like I said, half the job is getting rejected, and like that kind of feeds internally. And you're like, okay, well, what am I doing wrong? Like, what am I doing right in these other auditions that get me the role, but like I just can't seem to nail. Like
Right.
I've had to deal with this frustration for the past couple of months, but I didn't really consider acting classes until I spoke to my agent about it. And they do have like their own people that they like to recommend. And
Mhm.
like I really would love to do that because you never stop learning.
Right.
There's something like, even if you are the most talented actor out there, you will get something from that class that you never even considered or thought about.
Right.
So that's one of the things that I'm trying to get into, but it's really strange right now with COVID because I feel like I do best with in-person acting than I would like, over Zoom or like
Right.
however they're incorporating it nowadays. So that's what I'm waiting for an opportunity to do. It's like just go down there, get my in-person training, and then like continue to thrive.
Great. Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about your music a little bit. So
All
um,
right.
so I've listened to like, and I was listening to. I went back through because I've heard some of your stuff because I follow you on social media. But I was going back through, in preparation for the interview, and I was thinking to myself like, your music kind of puts me in the mind of like Corinne Bailey Rae or Alicia Cara or people like that. But who would you say like, how would you describe your sound?
Honestly, I feel like I'm still trying to find it.
Mm.
And I know that probably sounds crazy, but like I feel as though my voice changes a lot. Or like I try to like do covers a lot, just to, like figure out what my range can be, how I can push my limits that way. And a lot of it's like just pop music nowadays, or like Amy Winehouse. I absolutely adore her and just her sound. But I'm working on it. I don't know if
Okay.
I'm more of like the deeper, earthier sound, or if I can be
Yeah.
like more pop. It's just a work in progress. That's why I say music is like my grounding moment. That's where I'm trying to find myself.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you sound like you have it all together. Like I've enjoyed a few of the things that you've done. Some of them were original pieces, though, right? You've written a few things.
I've done a couple original pieces. A lot of writer's block kind of stumbles across my path. So I
Uh,
try to defeat that by just like, listening to more music, try to like delve into my feelings, try to like actually sit down and write something. But,
right. Right.
it comes and goes. It's one of those things where if it hits me, it hits me. If it doesn't, oh well.
And that's exactly like how would you like me. So I saw an interview that Michael Jackson did like years ago, and it stuck with me ever since. Where he talked about how music is organic. It's a flow. It's a rhythm that comes from it comes from outside of you. And so it's nothing that you control. When you try to control it, it's not art anymore because it's not organic. And
Right.
so yeah, let it flow. Like I promise you, the best stuff will come out when you just let it flow. So and I've heard some really great stuff from you. I want to know what inspires you to write. Like what puts you in the mood or puts you in that place to sit down and just put stuff on paper.
It's just, I guess I like to blame it on me being a Gemini
Okay.
because it's like one personality being another. And all of a sudden, it's just like a huge influx. Like, okay, I need to sit down, get this all out now.
You hear a lot of stuff about Gemini. I know some really cool Geminis. Jay, come back. But
There are.
You know,
I do.
older than Gemini today.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I do know some really cool Gemini. I know Elizabeth Gramling. She's a really cool Gemini now. But but yeah, so you say you do write your own. I'm sorry, I lost my. You did the smile thing and it threw me off. So inspirationally, what people do you get inspiration from? Like what artists? Like who really
That's not
influences you?
even limited.
Right.
That can't be, I can't give you a set answer for that because I find inspiration literally all around me. Because I like to people watch for one. I learn a lot from people that way. I find that's like one of my favorite pastimes. I'm one of those people that kind of sits back and listens. So like I get a lot of food for thought moments, and it kind of just like starts from there, and all the dots start like connecting, all the wheels start turning. She's like, oh my gosh, like thinking about it this way. Like, okay,
Nice.
well, let's step out of this like step out of the role of being like the center of attention. Just like, okay, let's see some more outsider point of views, like things like
Right.
that. Like it's not just one set person that inspires me or one set thing that inspires me. It's everything.
Okay. Well, who are your favorite musicians? Like, who's your top maybe five
Mm.
favorite people that you listen to?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I love Stevie Wonder.
Mm.
I
It's a
love
good start.
Elvis Presley. Yes. I love Amy Winehouse. Oh my goodness, pressure. You put me on the spot, and I'm trying to think of everyone.
It's all right. Yeah.
No, I like a lot of old music.
Okay.
And that's mainly because like my grandpa loved Elvis Presley growing up. I kind of like adapted that. So I have like all of his albums, like sang them as a kid, repeated those songs on CDs on road trips. I'm sure my parents probably hated me for that.
Right.
But that was me growing up. And like I guess that kind of incorporates my music now and like the sound that I try to find.
Your grandfather white?
No. He's
You
black.
like Elvis Presley?
He loved Elvis Presley.
Wow.
Absolutely loved him.
How about it?
He's in West Virginia too?
No, so my dad's side of the family came from Augusta, Georgia, but they grew up all over the world because my grandfather was in the military. So like even my dad, like he went to high school in Thailand. Like they just
that's
have
dope.
amazing stories.
Yeah.
They're incredible people. They really are.
Okay, and that's your favorite. All right, who's in your well, I used to say iPod, but who's in like your phone or your stuff like right now? Like who are you listening to right now? Who do you like?
I listen to a lot of Halsey because I think
Halsey?
she's incredible. I love Sia because her voice range is insane. I wish I could like push my voice to those limits. I try and I croak a little bit, but that's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Are you gonna sing for us today, or Dave? Am I moving ahead?
Oh, I don't want to put her on the spot, but since you asked, but let's do some more questions, and then you can think about it. And if you have something for us, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. I'm not gonna press you just because I didn't prepare you. Because I thought about like maybe because I'm the night owl, so and then I work overnight, so I'm up at night. So at like 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like I should text her and ask her if she wants to do a song. Well, I'm like, no, it's cool. We'll just wait till next time. But but I have a few more questions anyway. So because I want to know a bunch of stuff about you. So how did the medical field get into it? Like how did you find the interest in that?
So my parents always wanted a doctor. They wanted a doctor in the family.
Mm.
So basically, it was kind of instilled in me to like embrace my science side because I definitely I have so much interest in that.
Mm.
But I kind of forced my way through it mainly because like I knew that's what they wanted.
Mm.
And halfway through school, I realized my passion for the arts because I grew up painting, I grew up singing, I grew up acting. I did all these things, but I only considered it as a hobby. Everything else like fixated on like science based or math based, things like that. But I didn't truly embrace it until like I went to an audition for like a talent scout. And I was like, oh crap, I'm kind of good at this.
Right.
So that's when I started taking myself more seriously. And I talked about wanting to go to like a theater school. And like that didn't seem real to me yet because I was like, all right, well, I'm right here, right now. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm studying. This is what I'm going to be. But whenever reality decided to kick in, it was like, okay, well, let's start exploring the arts a little bit more. That's where you're happiest. That's where you always travel to for an outlet. So why don't you just like use it for your like daily life?
Right.
So that's why I just went ahead and finished school. I was too far in, I thought. So I finished it, got my biology degree, and then like now that I'm like taking some time off, I'm working and I'm just embracing what I can find like through acting. I was seeing like what I can do. If I can make it happen, this is when it's going to happen for me.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen for you. I have some horrible advice for you. People always say it's good to have, a good foundation of something to fall back on. And the clinical, the medical field is a wonderful thing. I say don't do it. Give it up. Focus 100% on what you love and only do that. And I know it's terrible advice, but I always tell, like, we've had a few artists on and people people into the arts, and they do different things, especially in this time, it's not as lucrative as it could be, especially when you're in the beginning and you're working on building your sound or your ability or whatever the case may be. And so people who like do T-shirts or do like Like we had a young lady that does like a natural aromatherapy things and stuff like that. And I'm like, give all that up. You're really good at what you do. And I'm saying the same thing to you. You're really good at acting. Your music is amazing. Give all that other stuff up. Just focus 100% on that. I know it's terrible advice, but that's my advice. And I
No,
believe
I
you can
love it.
make
I
it.
really do. That's
Yeah,
the goal. That's really the goal.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what keeps me going, really.
Definitely. Yeah, don't do it. Please don't listen to me, but that's what I think you should do. Um, but so between like the music, the acting, the you said sleeping is a luxury. Do you make time for
Sleeping
yourself?
100% is.
Right. So what do you do to make
I
time for
learned not
yourself?
to
Yeah.
nap. Okay. Oh, okay. So I always try to get my nails done because that's another thing for my therapy. Just to get pampered, get taken care of, and then get back to whatever you need to do. That and I am a horrible shopaholic. And it's
Oh.
funny because like if I'm not wearing scrubs, I'm normally wearing sweats. But I
Mm.
have like cute clothes that I'd like to say, oh well, if I ever do this is the outfit I'm gonna prepare for that.
Okay.
So like that's my visionary type deal right there. But one of the things I like to do, like music, you already know that.
Right. Right.
I, it's funny because I really don't get a lot of time to myself. I'm either like preparing with acting or at work
Mm-hmm.
or just driving to and from.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. You
I
gotta
didn't think
make
I
sure
had
you.
that reality check just right now.
Yeah, yeah, you got to make
So I
sure
need to
you
like
carve out
make
some you
more
time.
time for
Yeah,
myself.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. Patrice, you can speak to like the importance of taking time out for yourself and really having like just time to regroup and restructure and pull yourself together, right?
Yeah, well, I wanted to say I'm actually a Cancer, Liz, and when you were talking, I'm like, is she at the bottom of Gemini? Because she's real close. Those are Cancer traits. Are you at the end of June?
It's funny because it's June 18th. That's my birthday.
Yeah, that's the end.
It,
That's the end of June because I'm July 7th. So
Oh,
when you were
okay.
yes, I'm 7/7. So when you were talking, I'm like, that sounds like stuff I would do. Like, I always have something and say I'm gonna use it for another time because like we don't think in the here and now. We're like
It's hard.
planning out like yeah.
It's very
So
difficult for me. I'm trying to do better though. We're working on it.
Yeah, I gotta get with the nail thing. You said you get your nails
Yes,
done, and
absolutely.
that's the one. It's important to, I had to learn that over time. I'm an entrepreneur, I've been doing it for a long time, and focusing on the self care part, like that's been hard for me. It's why I wear my hair like this because I'm, always all over the place. But that's another thing to your point, Dave, that in this space
Mm-hmm.
I've learned to, you know what, I need to be doing something. I need to take better care of, just me and, so that I might try to get my nails done.
Definitely. Please do just for me.
that's dope. That's dope. So, in acting, do you have like a dream role, like something you would love to play, or you feel like you were born to do?
Love to be in a production by Shonda Rhimes.
Hmm.
I need that in my life. That is my goal, just to be in a primetime show that she's written.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I would just melt. I really would.
She...
So brilliant, so talented, and it's just like she creates these such complex characters.
Right, right.
And like she just puts all her faith in these actors to make that come to life.
That's dope.
That's what I would love.
Yeah, you're gonna get it, definitely, definitely. And so, musically, dream collaborations. Like, who would you like to work with?
Oh my goodness. I don't even know. I haven't even thought that far. Because like I don't really like consider music where I would like, thrive. I just feel like music's one of my little solitude things.
Okay.
Dream collaboration. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to think on that for a while.
Okay. Okay. I'll give you 1 minute exactly. No, I'm just kidding. No.
For sure.
While she's thinking, if I could say something,
Sure.
I love how you Liz, how you never put yourself in a box. The whole time I've been listening to you, whether it's acting, whether it's your music, you don't put yourself in that box that we were talking about at the top of the hour where it might be, oh, I'm gonna stick with this genre, or I'm gonna stick with these types of acting gigs, or this type of actress. So I admire that. Keep doing that. It kind of, it says that, your personality allows you to mesh with wherever, like Jay says, flow like water and kind of flow into whatever you're placed into and shine.
I
So
can't take credit for that statement.
This is Bruce Lee.
well, it's okay. I know Bruce Lee, but I actually say that all the time. When people, some people might ask, how you are, and I'm like, I flow like water, because you never know what type of current, where your current is going to take you. So you have to be willing to go with the flow, and just kind of, swim when you get there, just stay above water, and that's the whole thing.
No, absolutely. I had to learn that.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that just like one day I woke up and was like, all right, we're just gonna flow with it. No, I actually had like a really bad agency audition whenever I was 18, and they basically told me I didn't fit the mold, but like they loved my acting, they loved my presence, but I wasn't their version of what they wanted me to be. And I was devastated at that point. And I had strayed away from acting until like really like this year, whenever I found the new agents that I have that like really take care of me and really care for me. So it was just that point in time where I learned, like, I was like, no, this part isn't it. It's not time.
Right.
Yeah. Because when you flow like water, what you do is you guard yourself from disappointment, and you create your own space.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, the next audition you go to, if you flow like water and you get there and they're like, we don't want someone, you're like, oh, okay. Well, and sometimes you probably have created your own role. I hear that too. Mm-hmm. Have you ever done that? I'm sorry, Dave. I'm asking.
No, go ahead. Yeah, no, make my job easy.
I feel like
have you ever
you kind of have to. I was gonna say, you kind of have to. They only give you X amount of description of the character they want you to be, but you have to create their background story, because like in these auditions you have maybe 3 intro lines of who this person is, so you have to create like who this person is, why they're upset, or why they're feeling the way they do, why they're saying the way that they're saying the things they say. Like, it's just, you have to use your imagination and creativity. So I feel like you really do have to create these roles in the audition, because they don't give you this backstory. They don't tell you who the person is, so you have to discover it for yourself.
Yeah, I definitely think that whole concept, the whole water concept, that it's kind of been the theme throughout this show. It's something that, one, is essential for actors. I think just because of the type of work that they do, taking on the personality, like you said, or of another person, and being able to fit into that vessel. But also, I like what you said, Patrice, about it also speaks to carving out your own lane, because I think that's what Bruce Lee was trying to do with the importance of saying water can flow or it can crash. Because if you think about water, it's very malleable. It'll fit into anything you put it into. But also, like, when it's a river or it's a lake, if there's not a path, it creates its own way. It makes its own path. It's what has carved out, like things like the Grand Canyon that wasn't there, was carved out by water, and so it can be such a strong force, just being itself and never changing, what it is, So that's a dope analogy. I like how it, how it works on so many different levels. Elizabeth, there's a couple of questions that I always ask all of my guests. And I'm going to ask you, I always enjoy the answers that I get from it. And the first is kind of introspective. If you had an opportunity to talk to young Liz Gramling, if you could get into a time machine and go back in time to, say, like 9-year-old Liz Gramling, you knowing everything you know now, being through everything you've been through, and garnering all the wisdom that you have, what would that conversation be like? What would you say to her?
It would start out by me telling myself to stop people pleasing, stop doing what everyone thinks that you're supposed to do. Start living for yourself, because that wasn't something I learned until like recently. Because I'm used to being that people pleasing person. It's like, okay, well, let me feed off this energy and kind of like alter myself to fit whatever they need. No, that's not a cool thing to do, because I limit myself every single time I do that. So little 9-year-old Liz would learn to not do that, not be that person, because the moment that she decides to just thrive in her own beauty, that's the moment she becomes successful. That's the moment that she learns who she truly is.
That's amazing. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope, right? She's pretty awesome, right? I told you.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so
I love it.
the other question that I always ask is, and sometimes the answer is similar, and it may be there is definitely a young lady out there who's trying to get into acting, modeling, music, anything, who is trying to figure out the right steps to take, the right things to do, the paths and things. What kind of advice do you give to young ladies who are trying to get to where you are and and thrive in the entertainment industry?
I would definitely say to take second opinions. Don't go with the first offer that you have, because you learn your worth whenever you negotiate. Because more people are willing to give you more if you say, well, there's another person out there who's said that they're going to take care of me this way and like give me these opportunities. But then this person starts pushing me like, oh, well, we can also do this. We can throw this your way. We can help you this way. We can just, there's so much more out there than what people say. I'll put it that way. People are willing to extend you a hand, or they can give you a ladder from like 5 feet away. Are you going to like take the ladder, or are you going to take their hand directly? It's all what they're willing to give you.
Right.
And you have to learn to know your worth in those settings. So I would tell those people to just branch out a little bit. Learn what else there is. Like, learn all the things there is out there. And see who values your worth the way you value your worth.
Right. That's strong advice and sound advice, definitely. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, because understanding your worth and knowing the power in it and the leverage that it gives you is a huge lesson that I think most artists have to learn. And then when they do, like you said, it helps them really step into their their power and really come into their own. So yeah, that's amazing, man. Thank you so much for that. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. You want to sing a little something for us?
I don't have anything prepared.
Okay.
And my guitar's a little out of tune right now.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I will definitely post something today if that makes you feel better.
Right. Yeah. That would be wonderful.
I will definitely post something today just for you all.
Oh well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Yeah. Yeah. That's dope. You said what, Patrice?
No, what's that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Patrice.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said I'm looking forward to checking it out. I think that's
okay.
Dope.
Yeah, she has a lot of dope music on her pages too. Like follow her. I've been, watching her stuff, and yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
I know you're gonna get to that, Dave, but I'd like to know where to follow her.
Yes, that's the next thing I was gonna ask. If people want to follow you, if they're looking for, acting jobs, or just want to follow you, where can they find you on social media?
Okay, so my Instagram is at EA Gramling. My Facebook account, just a normal one, is just Elizabeth Gramling. You can find me there. But I do post a little on both my Instagram and Facebook.
Okay. Good. Yeah. So, all you agents out there or people who are looking for a great lead actress, and I know you've done a number of commercials and a few roles. Like, do you have a favorite, like a piece of work that you really look at and say, I nailed that one? Do you have one?
Definitely my Lowe's commercial.
Okay.
Because that one, it was difficult for me because they had me handling a lot of power equipment. And I was getting lessons in between takes on how to use it.
Okay.
And it was just a great time. It really was.
That's dope. Yeah, I've seen that one. That's that's a good one. Yeah, it really looked like you knew what you was doing too. I'm surprised to hear you say that you had to get lessons.
They gave me such thorough lessons, I promise. It was so funny.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. And so, yeah, thank you so much for joining us and talking to us today. I really appreciate you coming through. I feel like you've definitely inspired some young actresses out there today to keep going and keep chasing their dreams. So this has been another episode of the Neighborish Livecast. On behalf of myself, Super Dave, Patrice, Fruitfit. Oh, Patrice, did you had something else?
No, I just wanted to say, Liz, it was, I don't know, I enjoyed this because you anytime somebody kind of speaks to me, like you were kind of speaking to me and you didn't know it, so you inspired me a lot by, that whole out of the box thing, and not wanting to be in a box because you want to do your own thing. So you inspired me today. So thank you for that, and I
Thank
wish you the best
you.
in all of your endeavors.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me. I literally learned so much from you all, and I have a lot of food for thought things to consider.
Yeah. See, this is great energy, guys. I told you. But yeah, like I was saying, on behalf of myself, Fruitfit, Jay Son, DC Native Son, and our wonderful guest, the beautiful and talented Elizabeth Gramling. Thank you guys for checking us out. We'll be back next week with more conversation, more information, and more fun. Y'all have a great week. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Peace.